Hello, yes, it's Joe here for Joyrider TV. Today we're going to be taking a look at telltales and wind indicators and how you can use them effectively. Okay, so we're going to start off by taking a look at the telltales, and then later on we'll have a look at the wind indicators and see how we can use those. So the telltales, there's two ways that we can use the telltales. The first way is we can set the sail and then steer the boat to the telltales. The second way, we steer the boat to where we want to go and then use the telltales to get the sail in the right position. So what you'll find on the jib and the mainsail on your boat is these pieces of wool on either side of the sail, and these are what we call telltales. So what we're ideally looking for with the telltales is to have these bad boys on both sides of the sail streaming straight back like this. What this indicates is that we've got a good airflow over both sides of the sail. Here we can see on this particular sail we've actually got a window to make it easier to see the telltale on the other side. On other sails you might not have a window, but generally you can see through the sail. So if we've got the sail in the correct position, the telltales will be flying straight backwards. If the sail is not in the correct position, then the telltale is likely to be flying either up or perhaps sagging downwards or perhaps swirling round, and this means that we need to do something. So the first thing we'll look at is sailing the boat to the telltales. We would usually do this on an upwind course. You can check this out actually in operation on the recent beginner sailing videos where we're doing exactly that, but here's how it works. So we firstly want to pull the jib in so that it's tight, and then with the jib in tight, that means we can then steer the boat by looking at the telltales. The telltales will tell us which direction to go in for the upwind point of sail. So if we're looking at the sail from the windward side, what we're looking for is to get both telltales streaming straight backwards. If the telltale that we can see on this side of the sail, if this one isn't flying straight backwards, it means we're probably sailing too close to the wind. If the one that we can see through the sail isn't flying straight backwards, then it means we're not sailing close enough to the wind, so we need to steer up towards the wind. So the one on the outside, if that's not flying, we steer up to the wind. The one on the windward side, the closer side to where we're sitting, if that's not flying, we need to steer away from the wind. As the wind gets stronger, we can allow this telltale to start rising up, because as the wind gets stronger, we can sail the boat closer to the wind. And then when the wind is very strong and we're double trapezing, we could even have this telltale lifted completely. This windward telltale is basically an early indication of the jib flapping. On a 16 with a fully battened jib, the jib's never really going to flap. But if you've got a soft jib with no battens in, if we sail too close to the wind, it will start flapping at the front edge. So this is very useful for using the telltales. The second way that we can use the telltales is if we have decided where we're going, like this would be very appropriate on a reach, or this would also be if we're looking at the telltales on the mainsail on our upwind point of sail, and we've determined the course on the upwind point of sail using the jib, then to get the sail in the right position, we can then use the telltales for that. So The jib on the upwind, we've established we're using that for our course, but the mainsail on the upwind or the jib on any other point of sail, we can use the telltales to determine how much to pull the sail in. It's quite simple. If the inside one isn't flying, we pull it in. If the outside one isn't flying, we let it out. Quite simple. If neither of the telltales are flying, then generally that would suggest you need to let the sail out. If you've got more than one set of telltales on your sail, generally you can get all of your information from the lower telltales. The higher ones we'll come on to in a later video. So in summary, with the telltales, if you're sailing upwind, pull the jib in first and then steer the boat by watching the telltales. If the inside one isn't flying, turn the boat very gently downwind. If the outside one, the one you can see through the sail, isn't flying, then steer the boat very gently up into the wind. Once they're both flying straight back, then you're in the best spot. The other way we can use the telltales is to set the sail once we've established our course. If the inside one isn't flying, pull it in. If the outside one isn't flying, let it out. But with that, on the mainsail especially, when it starts getting windy, we can't always pull the sail in enough to get the one on the windward side flying, because if we were to do that when it was really windy, we'd probably capsize. So next we're going to take a look at the wind indicators. This is the best, least expensive accessory you can get for your boat. We're using videotape here, which is tied with a clove hitch to the bridle wires. These wind indicators will tell us what the wind is doing on the boat. Absolutely essential. If the telltales are wet, then they're not going to tell us anything, but these wind indicators will always give us the clues of where the wind is coming from. We'll mostly be using these wind indicators on the downwind point of sail. We don't sail the boat straight downwind, because if we do that, we're only getting wind on the inside of the sail like you would on a very traditional boat. A catamaran goes fast because we're getting airflow over both sides of the sail, and the furthest downwind that we can go and still get that airflow over both sides of the sail is with the apparent wind at 90 degrees. That's so the tape is flying straight across the boat. Any further forwards, it means the wind's coming too much from behind and we're only getting wind on the inside of the sail. Any further back like this, we're going to sail very fast, but we're not actually going to be getting downwind. So we sail with the apparent wind going straight across the boat like this, and then if it comes too far forwards, we need to turn up towards the wind. If it comes too far back, we need to turn more downwind. What the apparent wind is, it's the wind that we experience on the boat. This is a combination of the true wind, the wind that is blowing, and our induced wind. That's the wind that we create by moving forwards. So this combination of the true wind and our induced wind becomes the apparent wind. So when we're sailing on the broad reach, which we're also calling downwind, although the apparent wind is straight across the boat, the true wind will be coming from behind, so we are making progress downwind. So there we go. I hope that has shed a little bit more light on how to use the telltales and the wind indicators on the boat. Very useful. If you don't know what the wind is doing, then it's going to be very difficult to sail the boat efficiently and effectively. So invest in a bit of videotape, that's what I was thinking, and make sure that you have got telltales on your sail. If you haven't got telltales, you can just use a piece of videotape, get some adhesive sailcloth like the stuff that's used for sail numbers, and you can stick the tape onto the sail. Alternatively, you can, if you can't get hold of that stuff, just get some gaffer tape or duct tape and you can stick your bits of cassette tape onto the sail using that. Very handy stuff. Thanks very much for watching. I hope this has been helpful and informative. I will of course be back soon with some more on Joyrider TV, so do hit the subscribe button if you're not yet subscribed. Other than that, thanks very much.